The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk Politics. I'm Debra Hutchison. Our guest this week is coming to us from the town of Ajax, Mayor Shaun Collier. Good to see you again, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Debra. Thanks for having me back again.
Lots to talk about. Let's start with, we have reopened. We are taping this on February 3rd, so it's been a couple of days, but we're seeing the doors open again, and people can finally go to their local restaurants and eat inside again. From your perspective,
we are reopened again. Let's hope.
How is it going?
Let's hope we stay open again. Well, it's a bit too early to tell. We got everything in place. We did open on Monday as per the provincial order allowance. We've had some challenges in getting staff back and getting people to work, but those things that we can move ahead with, we have, and others are being phased in as we can get the people to do them. And let's hope that it stays this way this time.
What have been the challenges in getting the staff back?
Well, with all the layoffs that we've had to do with a lot of our part-time staff, which, you know, recreation departments, when you close 3 rec centers and you have to lay off all your lifeguards and all your swim instructors and all your support staff for all those, they often go get other jobs. Some of them are students, gone back to school, found other opportunities. So it's not easy to replace people these days. There is a real shortfall in getting staff. It's a bit of a challenge.
On top of that, what about, we hear a lot about people getting Omicron and having to, coming into contact, and they are self-isolating at home as they, work through all this. Has the town of Ajax staffing been hit hard by this latest Omicron phase? Yeah,
that's part of it for sure, is people being off. I mean, we had somebody in my own family get it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere now. Thankfully, we've been safe still, but we've had that issue with staff for sure. In the CAO's office, I know at least 4 of our staff have got the Omicron virus in the last few weeks. So it definitely has been a challenge for sure. It's one of the factors.
And once again, another budget you're working on this time, the 2022 budget, and we're still in the midst of this pandemic. Did you ever think that 2 years down the road, you'd be dealing with yet another budget and be in the midst of a pandemic and having to deal with all that entails?
I don't think 2 years ago anybody thought we would do it a second time. Now we're doing it a third time, pretty much. So that's all part of it. This is learning to deal with COVID moving forward, because I think what the doctors are saying is it's going to be here. We're just going to have to learn to adapt and work with it. So we've factored in all of those precautions and all of those cleaning and extra staff and things that we need to keep everybody safe and keep everything moving forward. We have been very responsible fiscally. We have a surplus, not a deficit this year, and that's going to really help us. That doesn't mean, a lot of residents might think that automatically you can reduce taxes. Well, if you do that, then next year we've got to double it twice if we go back to normal, right? So when you have a surplus, our financial sustainability plan calls for those funds to go into reserves, which are very much needed, given our asset management plan we've done, our fire master plan, and our stormwater management plan, all of which we have big shortfalls. So I can tell you that the proposed budget this year, our budget document is out. Our meeting is on the 14th of February, is lower than last year. And last year was one of our lowest increases we've had in a long, long time, even though there are 12 new business cases. And one of those is hiring 20 new firefighters, because our fire master plan has shown that we, as a growing municipality, need to now grow our fire department to keep up with the population. So if everything goes and everything is approved by council on the 14th, we will still have a lower increase than last year and are in a healthy, good, sustainable financial situation.
Now that is only a portion, though, of the final tax bill. Regionally, what are we looking at?
The regional tax finance department has, or excuse me, finance committee has set the tax target at 2.5%. Now that's 2.5% of the regional tax bill. So blended, that would reflect to be, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 1.8% overall, because the regional tax bill is only 55% in Ajax of our total tax bill. So it's, yeah, 2.5% on the regional portion projected. And I don't know what the actual percentage is on the Ajax one, but it's I think 1.2 or something. It's very, very low.
Were you surprised at being able to bring it in even lower than last year?
Yes, by closing rec centers, we lose the revenue, but we also don't pay the staff, the part-time staff that were laid off. So there has been some pluses and minuses, and thankfully on the big city mayors, I know many of the large municipalities have talked about tens of millions of dollars in deficit, and as municipalities, we are not allowed to run deficits. So thankfully, we're not in that situation. The province did give us some money for some COVID-related things, which we've used, and it's been good. And I'm glad that we are in a situation that we're able to move forward. Again, we are subject to all the same things. I mean, fuel prices going up the way they have is a challenge for us as well, because all of our equipment runs on the same fuel as all the residents' cars. So just because our rec centers close and just because people think we're not paying our staff, we're also not receiving that $7 million in revenue that we get from user fees, from skating and swimming and all those other things services that we provide. So luckily we've ended up on the positive side of that, and we'll be able to move forward and not have to have a large tax increase on the residents this year.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about dealing with the increases that we all have to deal with in our own home budget. I'm just thinking about all the town vehicles and, you know, the snow plow. You still have to buy fuel for those. And when you see the price at the pump, I mean, this is totally out of your control.
Fuel, insurance, maintenance. Well, town vehicles are one thing. I'm also chair of Durham Regional Transit. And when you've got a fleet of buses using diesel fuel and you have set your price at X and it comes in at Y, it's hard to hedge against that. So when you're talking about something like Durham Regional Transit, it's a much bigger problem than municipal. But the vehicles is only the small portion. What really is hitting us hard is the capital pressures, where, for instance, if we want to build a road, and let's say we budgeted a road for $5 million last year, well, the development industry is very busy, and that same road might come in at $10 million this year. And that's, you know, that will blow your capital forecast out of the water when that type of thing happens. So that's an even bigger part. And with the province delegating us to do the asset management plans, which we all have done now, all the municipalities in Ontario have done, it has shown us that we have somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think it's a $15 million a year shortfall in capital to maintain all the assets that we have in the fair to very good range. So there's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to our budgets, whether it be stormwater management ponds, whether it be fire departments, whether it be buses or capital. It's tough.
Yeah, well, you know, when you're talking about transit at the beginning of this pandemic, you know, when we were all in lockdown and then lockdown again and then lockdown again, ridership for Durham Transit, it did plummet.
Yep.
Have they found a way to entice back the riders? What is the ridership like now?
Well, we're working on it. We're still down 40% compared to pre-COVID levels. So we're working on it, but I don't know if it's going to take a long, long time, because now with people working from home, that's making a big difference too. So there's just not as many people traveling to work. With schools being closed and online learning, there's less students going to Ontario Tech and Durham College and Trenton University, for instance. Those are some of our biggest, heaviest used routes servicing the college and universities. So it's probably going to take quite a time to get back to where we were. And we factored that into our budgets. We're taking the opportunity in transit to get some new vehicles through some grant funding and some gas tax funding, but also an opportunity to retire some of the older, more expensive to maintain vehicles and update our fleet at the same time. Because if we don't need as many buses, we can take some of those older, more expensive to operate ones and sort of put them aside. At the same time, we've taken some of those and retrofitted those into mobile vaccine clinics, that type of thing, which to help with COVID.
Now, as part of the budget, you were also talking about the need to hire firefighters. I have to ask you about Ajax made the decision to remove firefighter application fees. That was making the headlines recently. A $100 fee was being charged for anyone that was,
An application
submitting
fee.
a resume for this job. Let's talk about that.
Sure. We have very real costs when we do hiring. And when we hire for fire, especially, we have to put them through a number of tests. Just the, not the aptitude, what is it? The I don't know what it's called. The mental health test is not the right name, but it's that type of thing. And that is $600. So if we have hundreds of people apply, extrapolate that out, that's a pretty big hit on the tax bill. So we, like a lot of other municipalities have done, initiated this $100 application fee. As it came out, it wasn't part of our bylaw. We found that out at the end. And so when we went to put it in the bylaw, there was some pushback, and council decided that we weren't going to go ahead with this fee after all. So those funds have all been returned, and we're just moving ahead. That costs to hire those new firefighters and all the testing that we're going to have to do will have to be absorbed on our operating tax bill, because we've gotten rid of that application fee.
When you took it to a council vote, there were only 2 that voted in favor of it, correct? Yourself and another councillor?
Yes. Yeah. I think I'm pretty well known in my 18 years on Ajax Council to be the sort of the financial guy. And when it comes to tax savings, we tasked our CAO to come up with different non-tax revenues. And this is one of those non-tax revenues, a way to pass on the costs that are coming into our town that are not our residents. These are not, the majority of the people applying for these positions are not Ajax residents, but Ajax taxpayers are having to pay the bill. It's kind of like the waterfront when COVID hit, our costs for maintaining the waterfront skyrocketed as far as garbage removal and maintenance, repairs, and all this, because so many people were now using it and so many people were coming outside of Ajax. And instead of having our Ajax residents absorb those higher costs, we implemented a parking charge down at the waterfront for non-residents. So they're paying their way. So we're not having to absorb those fees. This is a similar thing. I supported it. I didn't have a problem with it. It is pretty much cost of doing business, and many municipalities do have this fee. And so I felt it was appropriate, but democratically, I was on the losing end of that vote. So we got rid of it.
Okay. I'm going to stop you there. We're going to take a quick break. More of our conversation with Ajax Mayor Shaun Collier after this. Don't go away.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
My daughter is 7 years old and has a frenemy. They have play dates that always end up in a fight or tears. This friend bosses her around and treats her poorly, but she still wants to be her friend. What's a parent to do?
I would let them acquiesce to a certain amount. And then, when they're at this age, you still need to be supervising their play dates. So I might step in, not to correct the bossy child, but it's my child that I'm concerned about. I would just expose her to other people, teach her to have a voice, and let her know that she's got options.
Hey, I'm Chef Corey Duran, host of a show on Rogers TV Georgina called Cooking with Corey. Join me bi-weekly for brand new episodes where I teach you not only what to cook, but how to cook. The only thing missing is smell-o-vision. That's Cooking with Corey right here on Rogers TV Georgina.
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Allison.
Coming up on the next parenting show, we're talking about survival tips for staying sane and motivated during the pandemic.
We all need a boost to get out of languishing, and we're going to give you some tips.
This is Rogers TV.
And welcome back to Talk Politics. We are in conversation this week with Ajax Mayor Shaun Collier. I have to ask you, Lakeridge came out with its decision on where Durham's new hospital shall be. Whitby was the community selected to build the new hospital. Wasn't well received from either Pickering or Oshawa, as you can imagine. A lot of disappointment. What did you think of this decision? Ajax, of course, already has a full service hospital.
That's right, and we're very happy and very well served by Lakeridge Health. We didn't have a dog in this fight. I stayed completely out of it, as we were supposed to. The expert panel did their job, and I feel they did it well, and I fully support their decision. I mean, this was supposed to be completely non-political, and it was, and so I fully support it. I understand that the decision was unanimous by both the expert panel as well as the Lakeridge Health Board of Directors. So I absolutely support their decisions. I think the new location is central. It's close to two 400 series highways, and I think it will serve Durham well.
Okay. Let me ask you also about Carruthers Creek and a new request that was sent off to the region.
Yeah, the Durham last Thursday, the Durham Environmental Advisory Committee had a resolution on their agenda, and I did send a letter in support of the resolution to request regional council to ask the province to put the headwaters of the Carruthers in the Greenbelt. Ajax has forever identified this as a source of flooding. We did our own environmental assessment in 2010, I believe, which clearly showed that where the potential for flooding in South Ajax. At the same time, the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority redrew the flood maps for South Ajax and identified 500 homes in the flood zone. So we're very concerned about development in the headwaters. The headwaters are one of I believe the only headwaters of a major tributary that are not captured in the Greenbelt. It's part of the Oak Ridge Moraine. And to develop that area, I think is absolutely the wrong thing to do, especially since it's currently outside the urban boundary. We're going through municipal comprehensive review right now. Those lands, being white belt, are slated for future development. Shouldn't even be considered now as far as the time frame. I believe ROPA 128, Regional Official Plan Amendment 128, that came out of the last municipal comprehensive review, set specific timelines for that area. And that area is not to come forward until Seaton is completely built out, North Whitby is completely built out, and until the urban boundary needs to be expanded, if it ever needs to be expanded. So to be considering that area now, whether for a hospital or for development, is premature, in my opinion. And this Durham Environmental Advisory Committee resolution, which passed and went to regional planning this Tuesday and has been referred to staff for a report, is asking the region to ask the province to put it in the Greenbelt. Now, referring it to staff for a report is not something that I'm going to support when this comes to regional council in 2 weeks. We already have a report. It's called the Carruthers Creek Headwaters Watershed Study, and it was commissioned by the region for the TRCA to do. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. It outlines 3 specific solutions, and putting it in the greenbelt is one of them. I don't think we need another staff report for that.
You know, there's a provincial election coming up in June. Are you going to push to have this in the forefront as a local issue?
Absolutely. I think it has been brought to the forefront by many environmental groups. Ajax Council is on record several times passing resolutions requesting that these lands be protected. And now we've got several environmental groups doing the same. We've already got the leader of the New Democratic Party has come out and said if they're elected, they will put these headwaters in the greenbelt. I also think that, you know, this government needs a big win on the environmental front. I mean, after the I don't know how best to address it, but the provincial significant wetlands warehouse issue in Pickering and the MZO that the minister put forward and then withdrew, I don't think did them any favors. I think they could use a big environmental win, and I think this is it. And I mean, I won't speak about the 30% approval, but I think they could use some help in that area.
Okay.
And this would be a good solution.
Let's talk about job creation in Ajax this term. You know, when this pandemic hit, people were losing their jobs left, right, and center. We're hearing a lot about jobs rebounding.
Yeah, everybody's hiring. And that goes back to when we first started this segment where we talked about opening our rec centers and trying to get people. It's tough. This council, I especially ran on a very strong economic development platform. And, you know, this council won the Innovators Award by the, I don't remember the name of the body, but in the Economic Development Association of Ontario. And this is the first council to ever win that. And we won that in 2019 for some of the things that we were doing to help move forward. We have so much development in the town right now. The numbers that I was given with my last live with the mayor in December were just short of 1 billion square feet this term of council in development applications. And I'm pretty confident that we in Ajax alone are going to achieve 1 billion square feet of commercial applications this term. And that comes to between 5,000 and 10,000 new jobs, which was my target. My target was 5,000. I think we're going to exceed that. Now, there is some ebb and flow to this with COVID. Had COVID not happened, I think we would probably be close to the 10. But because, you know, unfortunately, a lot of businesses have closed, some of those jobs have been lost, and we have been creating a lot of new ones. We've created more than have been lost, but there really is no numbers to truly show exactly what that is right now.
Right. I also want to ask you about February, of course, is Black History Month. Plenty of ways for Ajax residents to participate.
My calendar is pretty full for February. There's a lot of events going on. I don't think we have time to go over them all, but I would encourage everybody to go to ajax.ca/BHM, Black History Month, and the entire list of everything that's happening in Ajax will be listed on there. And it's a pretty lengthy list. There's a lot of great things to celebrate. Ajax is very diverse. We do have a very large Black population, and we want to celebrate all those achievements. So looking forward to them.
Yeah, you've got a great website, I must say. It spells it all out there. So it's a great resource. Also, I want to ask you about your new candidate engagement initiative. Not only are we approaching June for a provincial election, but then come, you know, November, this fall, there is going to be a municipal election. What are you offering? What is the new candidate engagement initiative all about?
Well, it is, instead of the town, and our staff felt, and our clerk's department felt that it was not really appropriate for the town to be putting on the debates and functions to remote candidates, because I don't know just the reason behind it, but this new initiative is meant to take that. We will still fund them. So we will offer $1,000 per group or per application if different groups want to put on candidate events, whether it be debates, meet the candidates, those type of things to help promote those that are going to run in this upcoming election. So we're basically taking it off of the town staff where there is a bit of an inherent conflict and putting it out to the public and to the different community groups to put those on. So again, that information is available on our town website. And I would encourage different groups, whether it's boards of trades, because you said before that mostly it's the boards of trades that do these outside of the town.
I find, yeah, our chambers of commerce, boards of trade, they do a phenomenal job, you know, around election time at hosting debates.
But it's often just the mayors and regional chair, and we want to make sure the councillors have that same forum as well. So this will give the opportunity for potentially more. I think we've set the limit at, I think it was $10,000, which will allow 10 events, which is more than the town would normally have put on. And we'll be working with them. We'll make sure we support different groups to help and encourage candidates and encourage the public to come out and meet their candidates as well.
I love that idea, especially around municipal election time when we are trying to, I guess, encourage residents to make an informed choice. And it's easier when it's the federal and the provincial elections to really learn who your candidates are and get a good idea of who your candidates are. Not so easy around municipal election time.
Well, also municipal election turnout the voter turnout's quite a bit lower. Like ours is about 30%. So I want to get more people interested, more people out to vote. And that is very, very important. One of the problems we have though is, you know, this year, especially, we're going to have our nomination period for municipal election opens on May 1st. The provincial election is June 2nd. And that overlap is not helpful because some residents don't really understand the difference between federal, provincial, and municipal politics. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the door and people have said, "What party are you with?" And I have to explain to them, there's no party at municipal politics. So it's a bit of a learning thing, but that'll end in June, and our elections will really kick in after Labor Day for the most part. So hopefully we won't have that much of that overlap issue.
Okay, and on that, we are out of time. Ajax Mayor Shaun Collier, thanks so much for joining us. And thanks to our viewers for joining us. Until next time, I'm Debra Hutchison. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
My son is hanging around with a bad group of guys. They vape and drink and don't come from very good homes. I don't want him seeing these friends, but can't exactly stop him either. How do I help him see that they are a bad influence?
Yeah. So on the one hand, we're pushing them out the door, trying to get them to make friends. On the other one, we're going like, no, away, back away. There's a real loyalty to friends, and they're clearly checking something out, and you can't pick your children's friends. You can't. If I was going to talk about it, I would share what my concerns are, and that's why I would say behavior over character. Like if you say they come from bad families, they're a bunch of bad eggs, I don't like your friends, that's insulting their personality and their character.
Right.
So that's not how we attract. What we can say is I'm concerned because people are using illicit substances, and I'm concerned that that's going to make that an easier or more tempting thing for you. And my love for you, and I want you to stay safe, and I want you to be law-abiding. And so this is concerning. You got to tread gently and hope that they will come to their own determination as you kind of reflect about what you're noticing happening.